every variety you can think. There are Ramblers, there are AMXs, there are Gremlins. I haven't seen a Pacer or a Matador, but everything else, I mean, there are any number of cars from American Motors, and they call it the Homecoming, and that's not kind of a coincidence. People that I've talked to said they kind of liken it a little bit to the Harley Homecoming, where these cars are all coming back. The owners are all bringing the cars back to essentially where they were born, in Kenosha, where they were made here. A lot of them, I don't know if all of them were, but so they come back, and they said one of the best parts is they see friends that they see every year they come back for this, and they see all the different cars, and there's a parts swap meet where they can buy parts for their cars, because as you can imagine, a car from 1973 that was not a very popular car back in the day comparatively, might be harder to find parts. So they come back for friendship, parts, to see the cars, to show off their cars, and there are some amazing cars here.
Yeah, Jeff, I got to ask you, can you go back to that blue car? Was that a Pinto?
Which blue car? This one here?
No, you had. It was just right before I came to you. I accidentally punched a button and we went to the White House. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to show that Pinto.
Okay.
It would look like a little blue.
Back over here in these?
No, it was one of the, when you were talking about the 1970s, and I say that because that was one of my favorite cars from back in the day. It would look like a little blue Pinto, and I could be mistaken.
Yeah, no, the Pinto is from Ford. These are all, I've seen one non-AMC car out here, but everything else is from American Motors.
Yeah.
You talking about this one?
Yeah, I saw it in the distant.
Rambler.
That's a Rambler. Okay.
Yeah.
You love cars. I know that. And so, like, somebody who just doesn't know a lot about cars, it was that one, Jeff, right in front of the guy with the red shirt. I'm like, what kind of a car is that? Because a lot of us who grew up in the 70s remember that one, we think. Other way?
Okay.
Go the other way. He's got a red.
Which way? This way?
Yep, red shirt, blue car. Looks like almost like
this blue one here?
Yes. What kind is that?
It's a Gremlin.
That's a Gremlin.
It's a Gremlin, and that's probably the most represented car out here, other than the AMX. The AMX was kind of thought of as the muscle car to counteract the Camaro and the Trans Am and the Firebird. Yeah. But the Gremlin has a bit of a reputation too as being fairly quick, because it's a small car and you could get a big engine in it. So those are Gremlins here, and then this one here, this is an AMX, which was kind of thought of as kind of the muscle car answer to the other big car companies, you know, the Camaro, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
So there are a lot of AMXs out here, but there are also a lot of Gremlins.
So again, you said the purpose, this isn't just for fun. I was kind of, saying, well, there's a lot of eye candy. A lot of people who really have invested in cars and know a lot are just, I'm sure, feasting their eyes, but they can actually do some business out here, right?
Who are you filming for?
Yeah, there's a swap meet, I guess, and they can get parts for, if they need to do something to their car to, add a part, they can get the part there. Find it from their fellow AMC enthusiasts who might have a part for a certain car that they couldn't find. There's all kinds of events. I can't list them all off right now. I don't have any literature in front of me, but there's an event tonight where the organizer of this event said that they, I guess, are going back to the old factory, or where the old factory was. And so there's a whole bunch of events associated with this homecoming. And, a lot of these people I've seen. So just right here, I'll just show you. So I think that's Illinois, and then here, I think another Illinois, but then over here, there's Colorado, and there was an Arizona in here, and there's, let's see, Iowa, so Kansas. These people have come from all over the country for this. This isn't just local people who have an AMC. This is people from all over the country, kind of similar to the, the Harley homecoming, where people come from all over the country to show off their AMC, their American Motors car, and kind of be among other people that have them and appreciate the other cars.
Yeah, it really feels like it's a nice, very easy pace. You can go through, you can ask questions and not feel intimidated. That's great. And for people who are just starting in this, I mean, you know a lot about cars, but would this be a good event for them to get their feet wet and learn more and kind of explore?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, this is all free. You just find a place to park and walk around. I think the organizer said officially it goes till 2, but some people might be kind of hanging around until a little bit later. The factory event, I guess, is at 4, so there's still time to come out and take a look if you want. And there are some cool cars.
Yeah,
And the thing about these cars is that they're maybe more rare than some other cars you might see at a car show, because the AMC was, at the time when they came out, maybe not necessarily thought of as highly as these folks think of them. And so I think there are fewer of them around. I don't know if that's because fewer were made or people just didn't keep them and think that they would be collectors, but now there are a lot of them out here that, even just this station wagon, that was probably some family station wagon. My family had one probably not too different from this, and this probably would be worth a lot of money comparatively compared to a station wagon now.
Absolutely. We remember jumping in those station wagons and going to drive-in movies. I'm really dating myself, but those are neat memories. You brought up a good point. The registration is now open so that you can either be a swap, meet a vendor, or just show your car. And here's the thing, Jeff, this thing only goes on, according to their website, once every 3 years. So this is a good opportunity to get out. This isn't like the annual Harley Homecoming where we're doing this every year now. It's this really signature event in Kenosha. And again, not an annual event, but it is really a good experience every 3 years for AMC and other made in Kenosha car collectors. Going on obviously today, and it's going to be going on through Sunday. They have a big one on Saturday, the 26th, where you do the car show swap meet to come out there. So if you really are in this realm, if you will, if this is what you do, but even if you're somebody who's just getting into this is a great time to head out there to the Kenosha Car Show. And they're basically just saying, come on down, register the day of the show. And this is, according to their website, again, just a free event. And they have a lot going on. They just have all these little fun activities. For example, tonight they're going to do a cruise.
Mary, I have to interrupt you for just a second.
Yeah.
I heard that it was here. This is the first one I've seen. This is a Pacer, the AMC Pacer,
That's
which
the Pacer.
maybe is one of the most derided car in the history of American automotive. But because when it came out, I mean, it was like nothing else. And one of the things that people kind of didn't like about it, or some people didn't like, is these huge windows.
Yeah.
It basically became like a greenhouse. So if you owned one of these in the hot summer or in a hot environment, this thing would get ridiculously hot inside. But it is absolutely a unique car. I mean, there's nothing else like it on the road then, and I don't know if there's even anything like it on the road now. But that's the first one I've seen here, the first Pacer.
The first Pacer. So if you were a car collector, like, Jay Leno collects cars, would you want one of these in your top 10?
If I was Jay Leno, I would want one. There was one guy who had a Gremlin who said that when he was at the dealer buying the Gremlin, they tried to get him to buy a Pacer, and he said he would have been, really annoyed if he had been talked into it because he loves his Gremlin. But the guy next to him, who also had a Gremlin, said he's looking for a Pacer so he can bring them to shows together and have a Pacer and a Gremlin next to each other and see which one gets the most attention.
So that's the coveted car. There's a list here I'm looking at of all the cars on display. They've got, now I like that. That's a cool thing, and I like the heat, so I wouldn't mind it. But they've got a Jeffrey, a Nash, an Ajax, a Hudson, the Rambler you showed us. They have something called a Torino, IKA, Torino.
Here's a newer AMX.
Yeah, that's...
This one was from the 80s.
Oh, that's from the 80s, okay.
Yeah,
and
so
tell us
a lot of
again,
these are from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah, and again, for people who don't know, when you say AMX, what is that exactly again?
Well, the AMX is just the model of the car.
Okay.
AMC is American Motor Corporation. And so all of these are AMCs. The AMX is just a model, and that was like, this is a Hornet. My dad had one of these.
Oh, yes.
And then right over here, this is an AMX. You can see it says right on the side AMX, and that was kind of the AMC answer to like a Camaro, that kind of thing, or a Mustang.
I got to ask you, because I know at some point we got to move on, but I got to ask about this. The AMC cars were assembled from kits from around the world, Australia, Germany, South Africa. A car assembled from a kit, and that was a
I'm
thing?
not sure about.
Yeah, that's what it says here on their website.
That I'm not sure about.
They want you to check that out, but those are really neat looking cars. What's your favorite, Jeff? Besides the one that you just showed us, that was really cool. But what would be a second?
I'm partial to the Gremlins, the really nice Gremlins that are over here, because when I had a race car myself for a while. It wasn't an AMC, but there was a Gremlin that competed in one of the races we were in, and it was one of the faster cars. And my dad had a Gremlin when I was a kid, and seeing it compete in a race that I was in, it was kind of cool. So if I could have any one of these, I mean, the AMX are probably worth more money, but the Gremlin, I think, is just a cool little car.
Yeah. Oh, that's really neat. That is really cool. I cannot believe how awesome this is, even for me, people who don't necessarily know a lot about cars, but just to see the makes and to see the way that they're put together, to see the fact that these cars are still running. Yeah, that's a nice ride.
Oh yeah, they're more than running. Some of these, they're still racing them.
But where do they race and where do you go? Is there like a track that you can just take?
The one guy that I talked to that's still racing, they do kind of amateur drag racing. That there are different drag strips. There's a drag strip around here where you can go run your car.
Yeah, awesome. We have really appreciated this, and we'll see if we can come back to you. But this is going on all weekend, and it's again taking place right there in Kenosha. The homecoming only goes on every 3 years, so this signature event is a must-see. It just looks like a really neat place just to go stroll around. And are you catching a breeze at all? That's the other thing.
Not really. It's kind of warm out here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Really appreciate that, Jeff. By the way, there is no larger AMC show in the world, so we really appreciate this bird's eye view here.
You bet.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right, well, we're going to just take a quick break and come back. Let's see if I can get Jeff to just get one more beauty shot while we take a break there. And because I just want to see maybe one. All right, guys, I got to take you off of this. I know it's hard. We don't want to turn away, but boy, so many beautiful things to see there. So we're going to take a quick break, but we have so much more to come.
Block off capital.
For what?
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the live desk. I hated to leave that car show. It was so beautiful, wasn't it? We're going to have much more on that, though, a little bit later. But head down to Kenosha. Be sure to feast your eyes on all the things there. We thank our photojournalist, Jeff Frings, for that bird's eye view. Good stuff there. We're going to take you right out to Christina Van Zels, who is standing by live right now. And Christina, I know that I have you here. You are... There you go right now. You really have, we go from that beautiful site that we were seeing in Kenosha to some construction site thefts. Really alarming, because in these summer months, of course, we have so many projects going on. But more importantly, you know, this is where a lot of these guys who do this construction, this is where they make their money, especially if they're not able to do it in other months. So bring us up to speed here.
Yeah, hey Mary. So to give you an idea where we are, we're on 16th Street, just a block off Capitol. And this entire neighborhood, this is the Rufus King neighborhood, is having a circuit replacement project underway, but they're running into some issues that we learned about during yesterday's Public Works Committee meeting, where the city engineer talked about how the contractors for this project are, number one, dealing with some staffing issues, but the main thing that was talked about is how they're seeing theft in these construction sites where people are stealing copper wiring, and then we learned another plastic tube was stolen from this site. So the concern there is not only is there theft going on and it's pushing back this project, but people in this neighborhood are left without any street lights. And we just wrapped up an interview with one neighbor. His whole family kind of lives throughout this area between, this is from 12th to 19th Street, just off of Capitol. And he was saying that when it is dark, it's a little bit scary because you can't see. There's a lot of elderly people that live in this neighborhood, and he said that with the darkness there comes more crime. And so I know a lot of neighbors in this area are hoping to get their street lights back on, and that's actually what prompted this to be discussed during yesterday's Public Works Committee hearing, is that the Alderwoman Pratt's, she had constituents coming up or emailing her and asking, when is this project going to be complete, because people are worried how dark it is. So they made that an agenda item yesterday where they discussed it, just to be transparent with people about what's going on and what's causing this delay. Again, theft and some staffing issues here. The city engineer, Mary, also mentioned, I thought this was interesting, this is common when it comes to construction sites. He said that this has happened at a different site on a South Side project where they were doing a circuit replacement. So the big thing is they're working with a contractor just to make sure construction sites are more secure. But for now, this project is likely going to be delayed another 2, maybe 3 months.
Oh, you know, that is the last thing that people in that neighborhood want to hear. Christina, bear with me while I describe what I want to ask you, because I don't know the name of it. For example, when I go to a grocery store that I frequent, I won't call them out, but there are these mobile police things. They almost look like just a little box, and they've got the lights on there, and they're able to kind of capture video, and they provide lights so that you can feel safe when you're parking in this area. You know what I mean? It's almost like this little mobile light, quote unquote, surveillance camera center. Don't know the official name. Is there any talk that maybe those could go in there as a way just to ease some of this, you know, until that, for months this could be going on? I mean, what's the solution there?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Mary, and I don't see any of those in this neighborhood. I think the issue is it's such a vast, it's several blocks, right? It's from 12th to 19th Street where this is occurring. So I don't know if one of those would cover the entire area. So it sounded like the solution was just more carefully working with these contractors, letting them know, hey, this has been an issue across the city, and also it's not just a Milwaukee problem, but where people are targeting those copper wires, but to better secure the sites. We did see a DPW truck kind of wandering the neighborhood. I'm not sure if that person was actually working on the site or just monitoring what's going on, but it sounds like security when it comes to the actual construction and the contractor, that's what the solution is right now. And another thing, if you see theft underway or going on, obviously call 911. They also mentioned you can call 286 City to report that to DPW if you're noticing an issue with theft. So there are ways to report it. But at this point, we also reached out to Milwaukee Police to see if anybody had been arrested for this and have not yet heard back. So we'll, of course, keep you updated. But because it's such a vast area and this has happened in other parts of the city, too, I think it's more of just securing the actual site. I don't know there wasn't any talks of having one of those, I don't know what you call them either, but the
Right.
big lights that have the video, and we haven't seen that out here either.
Yeah, I just thought that may be kind of an effective, perhaps inexpensive way to cut this down. It sounds like, again, as you mentioned, this is really going on at night. People are in bed, people can't see, and let's be honest, people are probably fearful. They don't want to walk into a situation where you see a theft happening and you're walking in on that, and all of a sudden you put yourself in potential danger.
Right, and you can tell that it's obviously a concern among the people here. That's the whole reason it was brought up at the meeting yesterday, is because of how many emails and people reaching out to the alderwoman in this area were expressing their concerns about not necessarily the theft, but also just the darkness in these streets, in this neighborhood, when you don't have street lights. We talked with one woman off camera who said she actually put those floodlights that are motion censored on the side of her house.
Yes.
She's lived here for 30 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
Just to keep it brighter because it is so dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that definitely would help a lot, and that just deters people. So, boy, there's a lot going on there, and that's just too bad. Again, there's really nothing to do in the meantime. Just give us a recap again if people are just joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going on 12:53 right now, and I know we just jumped into this story, but just give a little recap for people maybe just tuning in right now. Tell us where you are in the area, and again, what people should do if they see anything at all that looks suspicious.
Yeah, so we're in the Rufus King neighborhood right now on 16th Street, just a block off Capitol. This is where they're doing a circuit replacement project. DPW is, meaning they're replacing all of the street lamps, and they're having some issues that were brought to our attention yesterday during a Public Works Committee meeting, where the city engineer said that the contractor is dealing with some staffing shortages, but also they're seeing a lot of theft happen at these sites, so they do not have the materials, meaning copper wiring was the main thing that is being stolen from these sites. So we talked with some neighbors in this area. They are worried and frustrated with how long this project is taking because it's dark and it's now pushed back. They're on a 3-week pause while they're trying to get those materials. And the project, actually, I forgot to mention this too, was supposed to already be done. Okay. So now they're expecting it to be another 2 to 3 months before they complete this. So if you see something, obviously if it's happening right in front of you, call 911. But if you also want to report it, you can do this through 286 City. And of course, if you see something, say something. That was the message from the meeting yesterday.
Yeah, they certainly need your help. All right, we appreciate that look out there. And 2 to 3 weeks is a long time, so hopefully people are able to help the police out there. All right, Christina Van Zelst reporting there in the Rufus King neighborhood. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Christina. We'll look for updates coming up on our newscast later, today. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we have some big news, some really big news from Governor Tony Evers. That is coming up right after we take a quick break. Keep it right here because you do not want to miss this. We are live on the Wisconsin Wild Desk. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Great to have you along this Thursday afternoon. We have a lot going on. It may be a summer sizzler out there. We're going to talk about the weather in just a moment. But first, big news coming from Governor Tony Evers just a little while ago. We're going to go right into our newsroom with our political reporter, Jason Calvi. Jason, bring us up to speed as to what we heard today. When I was walking in here just about 12 o'clock, I said, what? This was surprising news.
Yeah, we had been waiting for this. The governor had said for many, many weeks, Mary, that he was, or actually months, that he was going to wait until after the budget process wrapped up to announce whether he would seek a third term. Remember, he's been governor since 2019. He won that election in 2018, beating Scott Walker for the governor's seat. And he's been governor now. This will be his, he's in for his 8th year right now. And then he's not running for a third term. So this is big news. It now opens up the first time we're going to have an open governor's race where there's not the incumbent running on either side for more than, I think, about 15 years is the last time we've seen this. So there'll be a big attention. There's always going to be a lot of attention on this as a swing state to see what happened next year in 2026 when we elect our new governor. But now we know it's going to be an open race because Governor Tony Evers, after 8 years, says he's done. He's not running for a third term, Mary.
Yeah, and again, I think there was, in my estimation, there were some indications that he would run again. And then all of a sudden, we did notice he was quiet. And we also noticed that there wasn't a lot of ad revenue there. At least he didn't seem to be seeking that ad revenue to run. So there were some indications, at least at some point, that maybe he would be pulling out. What do you think was the catalyst for this? Are the new blood was there a push perhaps from the Democratic Party, or was this Governor Tony Evers saying, you know what, it's time for something new and I'm just winding down my career, or I just want to test my waters in a different field?
This is the governor's decision, Mary. Him and his wife Kathy were the ones that were really on the inside making this determination. It was his call to make. As the governor of a battleground state for 8 years, it was his call and his call alone whether to seek a re-election, and at the end of the day, deciding not to run for re-election was his call. But I can tell you there was pressure from people that you would say were maybe more left of Governor Evers, more liberal than Governor Evers, very unhappy with his budgets that he's signed, including the most recent budget, where they really felt he didn't push hard enough for some of the things that they wanted to see in that budget, including some more funding for education. And so we saw just yesterday, Mary, a group of Democratic lawmakers, including some from Milwaukee, as well as some teacher union members and leaders, as well as some community organizations in Milwaukee, all coming together for an open letter to Wisconsin. Now, they didn't mention Governor Tony Evers' name explicitly in that letter to Wisconsin, but if you read through what they mentioned, they said really they want a fighter on the budget. They mentioned things that were not in this current budget that Governor Evers signed that they said were really deal breakers, and that they wanted the next governor to support those things, including more money for special education, more money for public schools, and other things that they really were upset were not in this budget. So they really pushed hard yesterday. Now we are 24 hours later, and Governor Evers says, nope, he's not running.
We saw him get very animated not that long ago. He seemed to be frustrated with some of the things that he wasn't able to push through, some of his items, not only on the budget, but just the things that he was calling for. I mean, do you think he just kind of feels like, I just don't have a lot of a fight in me, or, you know, it seems to be the case.
In this video, and I hope we can actually play it, where Governor Tony Evers announces he's not seeking that third term, he actually mentions he's going to continue fighting, right? His term will continue through 2027 in January when that new governor will be sworn in. So this election will be in 2026. He's still governor for a year and a half, Mary. So he still says he's going to be fighting, and I wonder if we can pull up that video. He did send this video out on social media. Really, he called it a love letter to Wisconsin, and he got choked up as he announced he's not going to run for re-election.
Okay, let's try to. All right, Jason, we're going to come back to you in the newsroom.
Hey, Wisconsin, right. Governor Tony Evers here. You know, I was a scrawny kid with glasses who grew up scraping mold off of cheese. I never dreamed I'd end up governor of Wisconsin, but here I am. The last 6 years, you've welcomed me in through your churches, businesses, classrooms, farms, hospitals, and communities. I cherish every moment, every tour, visit, high five, question, and selfie. It's the honor of my life to be able to give back to the state that raised me. I promised you when I ran for this office, and I'd always work to do the right thing, and I'd always give it to you straight, and that I'd always try to be a governor for all of Wisconsin. And I work every day to keep those promises. That'll never change. I began my run for governor as a proud Plymouth progressive, and that's still who I am today. I'm a science teacher at heart who ended up running for office and winning 5 straight statewide elections. So would I win if I ran the 6th time? Of course, no question about that. But whether I'd win or not has never been part of my calculus about running again. Here's the truth, Wisconsin. The only thing I love more than being your governor is being a husband, a dad, and a grandpa. I spent 50 years in public service. I'm damn proud I devoted my entire career and most of my life to working for you. And from Plymouth to Baraboo, Toma to Oshkosh, Verona to Madison, and everywhere in between, Kathy and my family supported me all the way. Marrying Kathy is the greatest accomplishment of my life because it gave me a lifetime with her, 3 amazing kids, and 9 incredible grandkids. For 5 decades, my family has sacrificed to give me the gift of service. They're my world, and I owe it to them to focus on doing all the things we enjoy and love doing together. It's why, Wisconsin, I'm announcing that I will not be running for a 3rd term. I'm so humbled to be your governor. This is the best job I ever had. And folks, we are not done yet. There is, as always, much work to do. In Wisconsin, I'll be working just as hard as I have for the last 6 years to keep doing the right thing and deliver for you. So let's get to work. Forward for you and for Wisconsin always. Thank you.
Oh. And Jason, that coming from, of course, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers there, where you see the emotion there, and you see that he obviously it's a heartfelt message where he is saying, I'm still going to be fighting for Wisconsin. So background in education, he'll no doubt continue to push for the agenda for, if nothing else, kids to get educated and for there to be equality in the classroom, and continue to fight for teachers, no doubt.
Yeah, and here he was a educator. He was a state superintendent of public instruction, then went on to become governor. And he's been governor now for 7 years, 2019. So he's in the middle. He's still got another 1.5 years left in that term before we have this another election here. But again, an open governor's race in Wisconsin for the first time in about 15 years, 15 or 16 years, I guess, when the election comes in November of 2026. So Governor Evers is 73 right now. He'll be 75, I believe, on Election Day in 2026. So if you add 4 more years to that, he would be in his upper 70s at the end of his next term if he ran for re-election. So now he's deciding right now, as he mentions his wife Kathy, and I told you that was, who's going to make the determination. It was going to be the governor consulting with his wife of so many decades, Kathy.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, when you talk about going forward, I mean, just to put you on the spot, Jason, any contenders that just jump out at your mind is kind of like a no-brainer?
Yeah, so I can tell you what, I've been making lots of phone calls on this issue for many, many weeks, Mary, about who's going to run for governor on the Democratic side. And nobody officially has put their hat in, but I do know from talking to some state lawmakers that there should be people announcing pretty quickly that they're going to run for governor. So you're going to see there's a lot of names out there. Do you want me to go through some of the speculation? These are, these are the rumors that people are saying. They're floating these names out there, Mary, the people that potentially could make a Democratic nominee for governor. That's the people on my list that I have in front of me.
Well, I'm going to jump in and give you the first one, because I just reached out to him about 30 seconds ago and I said, are you going to run for governor? And he said, pause, I am considering it greatly. And that is former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. And so again, he's not making the announcement. He's saying, let's be clear, I'm not making this official, but I said, are you going to consider a run for governor? And he said yes. And I said, I'll be telling that to our public right now. So again, former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, one person who again will put their hat in the ring. So I just wanted to just one time maybe one up you.
You did,
I was like, did I? I was like, if he says Barnes, I'm like,
I had thought that he would be running, Mandela Barnes would be running for the United States Congress if when Moore ever decides to or does retire at some point in time. Yeah, so that's an interesting scoop you got on me, Mary. Thanks.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I just had to. I was big and puffy for a minute, but let's get back to your list there, Jason. That's much more informative.
Yeah, and this is based on conversations with many people. Okay, who do you think is going to run? And these are just names of people to keep your eye on. It doesn't mean that they're going to run. And in some cases, when I question some of these folks, they say, "Well, I haven't thought about it yet." But your source there, Mandela Barnes, said he will consider it. So that's a big news update there. Some names that are being speculated, looked upon, people that could potentially run for Wisconsin governor on the Democratic side. We've got the lieutenant governor. Do you know who that is? Sarah Rodriguez. I wanted to ask people out in the audience if they know who our lieutenant governor is, the Secretary of State, the state treasurer. I wonder, out of 10 people, how many would be able to identify correctly those 3 people in our state government. But keep your eyes on the lieutenant governor. Sarah Rodriguez, you mentioned former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes told you he is eyeing and potentially looking at that option, so that's a big update. A lot of speculation, a lot of people floating the name of Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. Remember, Governor Scott Walker was the Milwaukee County Executive Republican governor for many years here in Wisconsin. So David Crowley, keep your eyes on him. He just completed his degree, actually, at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So keep your eyes on David Crowley. What about Mayor Cavalier Johnson? I think people might want to speculate about him, but I think he's really good friends with David Crowley. So if Crowley does decide to run for governor, you're not going to see Mayor Johnson. They're too good of friends in my mind and in sources' eyes that they won't run at the same time for that same top spot of the state of Wisconsin. So keep your eyes on the Lieutenant Governor, David Crowley, the county executive here. I think you've got a contingent of people I would say are more left-leaning, more liberal than Governor Evers, so more liberal Democrats, that there's going to be a whole group of those people. Which one of them might decide to run, and if they all run together, is it going to water down the votes and the support on the left? So you got people like State Senator Kelda Royce, she could run on the left. You've got people from Milwaukee that could potentially have an attraction statewide for people on the farther left. That includes State Representative Ryan Clancy, that includes State Senator Chris Larson, Francesca Hung, as well, State Representative out of Madison, who could potentially run. What about Josh Kaul, our Attorney General? Do you think he might run? That's a big question. His name has been floated out there for higher office in Wisconsin. But you think about it, his fundraising has been somewhat lackluster at the state level for his reelection bid. You also, if he runs for Attorney General again for a third term, he's not going to have a primary on the Democratic side. He's got a safe he make it through the primary. He can spend a lot of that money that he might raise for his race as Attorney General, and he's got that name recognition, right? So why not just keep something that's safe, risking a bruising primary to run for governor? That's the calculus he's going to have to be thinking about if he decides to run. You've got State Secretary of State Godlewski, who could potentially run as well. She's got a little bit of money behind her from her family, so she can tap into that money. Or maybe she could decide to run for lieutenant governor if the current lieutenant governor decides, as many think, to run for governor as well, Sarah Rodriguez. So a lot of names that I just threw out there. How many of them are going to run? How quickly they're going to run? That's the questions we're going to be asking them as we see them in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So many people on that list. And again, fundraising and the ability to just see it through. We'll be seeing more. This announcement just coming, of course, less than 2 hours ago. So more names will probably be floated as well. But Jason, thank you for your insight. It's always valuable. Appreciate it. And of course, we'll have more tonight on our Fox News at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate
Thanks, Mary.
it. Well, we started this Wisconsin Live Desk today with wheels on the ground,
thank you.
And now we are talking about basically wheels up in the form of a wheel tax, and that's exactly what New Berlin is looking at doing. They are floating the idea of a wheel tax to offset a projected budget shortfall. They're certainly not the first community to do it, but they're also, at this point, one of those communities that is facing some backlash there. A lot of people saying, no, we don't want a wheel tax. We don't want, obviously, to pay any more money. Everybody's spread thin these days. For more on that, let's head out to New Berlin, where we see Brett Lemoyne standing by, who's got more on this. And again, a lot of people just opposing this, Brett, just saying, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, wheel taxes are hard to push through in any community. I think by New Berlin's calculations and by my own recollection, I think if this were to go through in New Berlin, this would be kind of a unique scenario here in Waukesha County. There aren't many communities out this way that have them. Of course, Milwaukee has a wheel tax. I think Milwaukee County also has a wheel tax. Wauwatosa, for example, has a wheel tax as well. But this, Mary, is all to combat a $3.7 million budget shortfall projected for next year here in New Berlin. There was a meeting on Tuesday night for the Common Council, and they authorized the finance director here to reach out to the DOT and basically look into the possibilities of implementing a wheel tax. It could be anywhere from $10 to $40. If it went up to $40, they estimate here in New Berlin that means an additional $1.4 million in revenue. They estimate they have 34,000 vehicles in the city. Of course, every time you go and you register your vehicle or you renew your registration, you would be paying that fee, Mary.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's, that's the problem. If this, say for example, there's so much opposition, Brett, I mean, are you getting indications they're going to try to, to push this through, that, hey, we're going to try to convince people, or, they've got to find some way to make up this money for the budget shortfall. So I guess, is it a push to get this through, or is we got a plan B going on?
Well, I mean, so far this is what's on the table, right? The city has been pretty clear in stressing that there aren't too many other options. Their levy increases are tied to new construction. We hear that from a lot of municipalities throughout the state. And their projections here in New Berlin mean they'd only be able to get about 0.1% extra for next year in terms of additional tax financing. So it does kind of leave very few options available. Now, we should also point out, Mary, at this point in our day, we've reached out to the mayor's office by telephone, by email, and also stopped in person, all 3 times speaking with a representative of the mayor's office. So we're still waiting to hear back from him. He did release a statement yesterday, just the morning after this meeting, clarifying for the public that this was just an exploratory scenario here where they're looking into a wheel tax. It's not necessarily going through at this time. If it does, again, if it does, it would be implemented in 2026.
Oh, okay. So people would at least have a little bit of time. But yeah, I know you're going to keep your eye on this. And again, so many communities facing budget shortfalls. We'll see again how this is greeted and met in the weeks to come. So Brett Lemoyne reporting live there in New Berlin. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being with us. Well, as we come back as well, I've told you this has been a really busy news day. In addition to that, we got some really sad news earlier today. You may have seen this headline right now, but Hulk Hogan has passed away. Larger than life Hulk Hogan. When you think about the entertainment field of wrestling, when you think about this, somebody who is larger of life, when you think about somebody who campaigned very hard for the president, the current president, you think of Hulk Hogan ripping off of his shirt, coming to the RNC and just showing this, what appeared to be a very physically fit, larger than life, full of personality, full of energy man. And today we are hearing at the age of 71, he has passed away. We do have a statement from WWE. A lot of you, of course, remember Hulk Hogan, and you can't help but feel like, oh, he was part of our family. WWE, a big part of his family or their family. And they have issued the following statement saying WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away. One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, his friends, and his fans. So many fans. That coming, just a nice reverent tribute to Hulk Hogan. Again, news just coming in today that he has passed away at the age of 71. And early reports are saying, and I'm getting this, and again, these have yet to be confirmed, but TMZ Sports is saying that he died after suffering a possible cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida. Apparently he was rushed to, emergency vehicles rushed to his home and he was seen being carried out in an ambulance. Again, unconfirmed reports, but this is from TMZ Sports. And we don't know if he perhaps was dead at that time, if he was, they were trying to revive him, but we do know that he has passed away today, living in Clearwater. It was just moments ago before I came in here today that we learned of that again this morning. And it says here, just weeks after he was alleged to have a health crisis. We don't know exactly what that crisis was. His wife apparently is denying those reports, saying that he was strong and he was recovering from surgeries. But again, the initial reports are saying he may have had complications from that surgery, or it could have been a cardiac arrest. He was actually set to join another wrestling executive in a new venture. So clearly he gave no indications that he was slowing down, that he was retiring. We just saw him campaigning as well. But at the age of 71, Hulk Hogan dead this afternoon. It has been announced. We'll have much more on perhaps the causes of that and much more on his life as we take a look back at his extraordinary career and really his larger-than-life personality, especially during the 80s with WWE. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back here at the Wild Desk with much more to come. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being with us for this Thursday afternoon. I told you it was a busy news day, and we certainly have a lot more to get to. For right now, stick out to Washington right now for their daily department press briefing in Washington. We are potentially hearing a little bit more about Gaza. We're keeping our eye, of course, on the Middle East, things changing every day there. So let's listen for a little bit, and then we'll join you back here in southeastern Wisconsin after that.
It opposed countries going to this conference in New York. Do you have a position on it this time?
Nothing further beyond saying that we will not be in attendance of that conference. Yes.
Just to clarify, now when the envoy says we will consider alternative options to free the hostages and so on, what is meant by that? Because, you know, if we have seen that only through negotiations were the hostages released in the past. So what other alternatives the U.S. could be thinking about?
Well, I refer you to my previous response. I'm not going to expand upon what the special envoy
All right,
has said.
Okay, so one other thing, and you also say that Hamas has broken the ceasefire. It was, in fact, the Israeli Prime Minister who broke the ceasefire on the 18th of March, this past March and so on. Hamas said, or at least from what we hear, by the interlocutors and so on, that Hamas has been more than willing and submitted many concessions and so on. So what is required of Hamas so the ceasefire can take effect as far as the United States is concerned?
Well, look, there has been conversations on this. I will not go into details of what those private diplomatic conversations have been, but what I can say is it is clear now from our perspective that Hamas does not appear to be coordinated nor acting in good faith. We have approached these conversations with good faith, as has been evident by our comments from this podium and other places, and it is clear now that Hamas has not been acting that way.
And lastly,
yes.
just lastly, according to news reports and so on, the sticking point was actually the actual entry of aid to Gaza. They apparently did not agree on that. Is that really what broke finally, what forced the United States team to pull out, or because they want to maintain this GHF method of allowing aid into Gaza?
Look, what I can say is what spokesperson Bruce spoke to just on Tuesday, that discussions of the humanitarian situation in Gaza were part of this, and our effort was to try to get those humanitarian corridors in there. That has been a clear effort by this administration, as spokesperson Bruce described. And again, to reiterate, we are seeing aid being delivered despite the actions of Hamas here, and those 90 million meals are to be applauded in terms of that effort. Of course, it will never be enough until we see an end to this conflict, but the entity that is standing in the way of ending this conflict is Hamas. They can release the hostages, lay down their arms, as we have said repeatedly. It is Hamas that is preventing an end to this conflict. Yes.
Tommy, few Middle East questions for you. Number one, with the Special Envoy Witkoff's statement, said there's a lack of coordination. Hamas is not coordinated. Can you expand on that? Is it trouble reaching the appropriate leaders? Is it an unclear chain of command? I mean, where is the lack of coordination coming in?
I'm not going to expand on his statement at this time. So, yes.
Second question. Can you give us an update on Tom Barak's dealings today, reportedly meeting with Syrian and Israeli officials? Any status update?
I have nothing specific to preview for you, but what I can say is he has, of course, been in communication, as has the Secretary, with all sides for many days now, and those efforts continue.
Last question for you. Hopefully I'll drag an answer out of you on this one. I asked in Tuesday's briefing about why Secretary Rubio is not pushing harder for the extradition of Akram al-Tamimi from Jordan. I was given a written answer by the State Department on that yesterday after you guys took it back. Basically said we continue to impress upon the government of Jordan to bring her to justice. President Trump said on day one, his executive order, American citizens come first in American foreign policy, American citizens. Secretary Rubio put out his 3 questions. Every dollar spent, every program has to answer in the affirmative one of 3 questions. Does it make America safer? Does it make America stronger? Does it make America more prosperous? I'm sure you have these memorized by heart. $1.5 billion of foreign aid to Jordan. How is it conceivable that Tamimi is still there and any of that falls under these dictates of what American foreign policy is supposed to be, with 3 dead Americans in Tamimi's hands?
Well, on your first point, I mean, to reiterate what we provided to you, the United States has continually emphasized to the government of Georgia the importance of holding Alman al-Tamimi, the convicted terrorist released by Israel in a 2011 prisoner swap, accountable in a U.S. court for her admitted role in a 2001 bombing in Jerusalem that killed 15 people, including 3 Americans. The United States continues to impress upon the government of Jordan that Tamimi is a brutal murderer who should be brought to justice.
It's not working.
Well, and on the point in terms of our foreign policy, the president has made clear, the secretary has made clear through their actions that America is coming first. We've seen that with the Americans that have been brought home. We see that with the pursuit of peace around the region. We see that with a policy that is about strengthening our industrial base and making sure that we are advancing those interests wherever possible. We are continually emphasizing to the government of Jordan the importance of this issue, though in terms of the 3 that you mentioned, safer, stronger, more prosperous, those are not slogans here. They are actions. Those are North Stars that we fulfill every single day to the best of our ability, making sure we're advancing the interests of the American people in absolutely every single way that we can. Yes.
And you have been listening to a department briefing there. We just want to keep things up to date. A lot going on there when they talk about the Middle East and some of the turmoil there, and just keeping up to date with them. We wanted to come back right now and bring you, again, some more sad news. A beloved musician, somebody that you know very well, Chuck Mangione, has passed away. It has been announced. He was 84 years old. Great jazz musician. We are told that he died of natural causes earlier this week. His website did confirm, and you know the songs. He was known for Feel So Good and Give It All You Got. He really was also known for playing himself on the sitcom King of the Hill, you may recall. Really a famed jazz musician, and we see here, he just loved the horn section there, the horn instruments, of course, and his trumpet was just so remarkable. He was well known in the jazz community, of course, but crossed lines as really a pop star. The pop instrumental performances, of course, really brought him over to the mainstream. From New York there, and over his career, he won 2 Grammys, including one for Best Instrumental Composition. One of his compositions, called Chase the Clouds Away, was actually featured in the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, Quebec. And Give It All You Got, of course, a well-known song in the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. But of course, we all know his biggest hit from 1978, Feels So Good. He was just really a talented musician there on the trumpet, and was really an all-around musician, not the only instrument, of course, that he played. He was just so well known and playing up until the time that he died. 84 years old, of course, as I just mentioned, but he died earlier this week of natural causes. So again, another death that we mourn, of course, not only obviously in the jazz world and the music world, but also just somebody who we felt like we knew. Flugelhorn and trumpet were the things that he liked to do the most. We also, of course, were honoring Hulk Hogan, passed away today at the age of 71, and a lot of people, of course, not only if you watch WWE, but you also know him from his political campaigns. You noticed him he did commercials, he did shows. I mean, he was just a fixture in Hollywood for his energetic and dynamic personality, ripping off his shirt, always larger than life, and always seemingly very energetic and in shape, particularly when we just saw him recently. You know, at the RNC, and it just remarked at his age and the way that he kept on going. He was involved in many projects, but we had heard today he died from potentially a cardiac event in Clearwater, Florida, where he was residing. Apparently EMS was called out and he was taken away in an ambulance. We don't know at that time if he was still living, if he died at his home. This is all just coming in new, but 71, he has lost his life. Here is a statement from WWE. WWE saddened to learn the WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away, one of pop culture's most recognizable figures. Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extended its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. So we will continue to learn much more about his life. We will continue to talk about him in our newscasts that are going to be coming up, of course, later. So we had a lot of fun stuff to get to today, but unfortunately, some of those things to tell you about, hard news to deal with, some of those deaths today. We have so much more to come. Kim Murphy, the lovely Kim Murphy, is going to slide in here next after a quick commercial break, but keep it right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We have a lot more to get to today. Be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy, taking the handoff from Mary Stoker-Smith for the second hour of Wild, as we call it. We're going to dip back into the State Department. A lot of updates, including what is going on in Gaza. Dire situation has just gotten even more dire as relief is just not getting to the people, and starvation is a real thing that is happening as the reports are coming out. So let's go to the State Department. Listen in just for a moment.
Once the food leaves, that's it. There's no way of telling where that goes.
Well, in terms of the details, in terms of after at least distribution sites, I'll take that back and see if we can get more details on that. Thank you. Yes. Yep.
Just to switch topics to Ukraine. Do you have any reaction to the talks in Istanbul? And it doesn't seem like there was any much progress. And separately, do you have the Russians reached out to you or offered any response to President Trump's 50-day ultimatum?
Well, nothing to preview in terms of that second question. On your first, we are aware that a third round of direct talks took place between the two parties. We support continued calls for a full unconditional ceasefire, Ukraine's continued calls for a full unconditional ceasefire, including the complete halt of all strikes on civilian and critical infrastructure. And we welcome the news that Russia and Ukraine agreed on a further exchange of prisoners, particularly the severely ill and wounded.
So do you see it as progress, as these talks?
Well, what I can say is we continue to encourage direct talks between Russia and Ukraine in pursuit of a comprehensive ceasefire and eventually a negotiated peace settlement. Yes.
I mean, just to follow up on that, the fact that there was no ceasefire on the table and it also was overshadowed by Russian attacks, was it a missed opportunity in your opinion?
Well, look, the president has been clear many times about how he views certain actions by Russia, especially over recent weeks. He has been very clear on that, very transparent on that. He's also been clear that we want to see the parties continue those direct talks to reach that ceasefire, that comprehensive ceasefire, and eventually that negotiated peace settlement. Beyond that, I have nothing further to add.
Thanks, Tommy. Also, I also want to get your reaction to the latest reports about China supplying Russia with drone engines under different names. What kind of reaction does it invite from you guys?
Well, let me take your question back and see if we can get more details there. But in the meantime, refer you to some similar comments from this podium.
If one more topic, I asked you a couple of days ago about Azerbaijan and Armenia. The president said that he achieved some magic. Can you please unpack for us?
Well, at this point, I have nothing to preview. We'll see if we're able, when we have something to announce, we'll announce it. Thank you. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
And you have just been listening to the tail end of the State Department briefing on a number of issues. We're going to take you now to another developing story here, and the Justice Department is set to meet with Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. This is just the latest in this situation that does not seem to be going away, although the administration would like it to go away. The Justice Department, again, set to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. She is now serving prison time. She's the girlfriend of the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And according to a person familiar with the matter, this meeting, which is happening right now, or it's set to happen in Florida, is to arrange to get some information from her. There's been a lot of backlash from parts of the president's own base over a refusal to release more records in the Epstein investigation. There are conspiracy theories swirling about why those lists have not been released, or even if there is a client list that exists. And of course, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, she is facing calls from Democrats to testify before Congress after a newspaper revealed that she told the president that his name appeared in the files of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. So we are keeping a close eye on what is happening there. I'm Kim Murphy. Welcome back to the second hour of the Wild Desk. A lot has gone on. The big one this afternoon, we learned that WWE superstar Hulk Hogan has passed away. I immediately got a text from my brother, who's younger than myself, and he was like, he's one of my goats. You know, I remember growing up with younger brothers and them imitating Hulk Hogan in the ring. much to my dissatisfaction because I was the one they were practicing on. But anyway, Hulk Hogan, again, just a superstar, just brought that arena, that sport, that entertainment, and really, really elevated it, and it exploded. And he had his own action figure. There were rings, WWE. He was just a superstar, one of the first. And of course, you know, when he would shred his shirt, everyone, the fans, that's what they waited for that. And so sadly, we are passing along that Hulk Hogan has passed away. More information is coming in on that, and as we get it, we'll bring it to you here on the live desk, TMZ, the first to break that story. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Feels like that time of year. Packers training camp. It's in full swing. Our Tim Van Voren has been in Titletown giving you a preview of all the storylines, how the new members are looking, some of the things that are coming out, who's signed, who's injured, and all that kind of stuff. Training camp, again, it's you know, a tradition. Started yesterday with that traditional bike ride. Packers, players, and members of the organization get on those little bikes, and the fans just love to see that. And by the way, Packers Family Night, that is set for later this month, or I should say August, but tickets for the first practice are already available. If that's something that you want to do at the end of your summer, you might take a trip up to Green Bay. This would be Green Bay's 80th training camp. It's a tradition that started in 1946 under Curly Lambeau. As part of that, the practices take place at Ray Nitschke Field, and the Packers Family Night will be at Lambeau Field. And so we will check in a little bit later to find out exactly what's going on there, but it's always a lot of excitement because right now everyone's equal. The playing field is equal. This could be our year that we go to the Super Bowl. Nothing tells us anything differently. Weather continues to be our big story. It's pretty warm out there. I'm going to give you a little look right now at just kind of the freeway system. How about a freeway system that's actually moving there as I kind of queue up Stephanie Barrichello, who is so kind to join me to talk about what is going on weather-wise. Hey there, Steph.
Hi, Kim.
It's always with you. I'm just like, geez, how do I find you?
Hey, there are a lot of buttons, and I know absolutely nothing about it, so kudos to you. It's not too bad outside right now, Kim, in Milwaukee, and that's because we've had a couple of showers roll through. In fact, you can kind of see here, magic, poof, you see those graphics, rain icon. So we've had a couple of scattered showers from time. That's keeping temperatures slightly lower, but it is still very humid, and we're starting to see pockets of sunshine in some communities, so that's also allowing temperatures to climb a bit more at the moment. Those spots specifically down towards the southeast, so you can see Racine as well as Kenosha, both 86 degrees, whereas the rest of southeast Wisconsin, we've settled into these middle and upper 70s and low 80s for much of the day so far, thanks to all the extensive cloud cover. So we can be thankful for clouds today, because if we had the full sun, we would be on our way back to about 90. Now, I do think we'll stay lower than that 90-degree mark. It still feels really warm, though, because of the high humidity. This is not going to change until overnight tonight and tomorrow after a cold front actually passes. So even though air temperatures are lower than yesterday, our dew points might be a degree or two lower, but they are still very high. If you do have anything to do throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening, make sure you pack the rain gear. I know we didn't need it yesterday, but we have just these very spotty light showers across southeast Wisconsin as we speak, mainly off towards the west. There were some more substantial showers that just recently passed through Racine and Kenosha County. We've had our fair share of downpours here in Brown Deer at the station as well, especially earlier over the last couple of hours. We had at least 2 separate downpours as I would look out on our weather deck. Now we're dry, but here's that cold front that we are watching. So out ahead of it, we could still see a few showers and storms. Notice how there's a little bit more activity behind the cold front as well. This frontal boundary isn't really going to move through until later on this evening, but still through the rest of our afternoon and evening, we could still see a couple more showers and thunderstorms, and we'll have to watch our far southern communities. You know, Racine, Kenosha, Walworth County, those spots that are a little bit warmer. The Storm Prediction Center changed up the storm risk for today, if you will. Earlier, it was a marginal risk for everybody, but now you'll notice that it's shifted south and just a sliver of Kenosha County under that slight risk. So it does look possible later on this evening that these spots that are more so seeing some of those warmer temperatures could see just a little bit more in the way of organized thunderstorm activity as that cold front pushes through. That could be around your dinner hour, maybe shortly before, shortly after. But those, I think, are the spots we'll have to watch for maybe some stronger wind gusts, some heavy rain as some of these storms move through. But just keep in mind, we still need to see that develop. So even though the heat isn't as bad as yesterday, we also still have a lot more of it, Kim, on the way. So we get that tiny little break tomorrow, and that's thanks to the cold front and the lake breeze. But then over the weekend, especially Sunday and into next week, we have another round of upper 80s and 90s that will return, and those dew points, they're staying in the 70s pretty much for the next 6 days.
Yeek. Let's talk about our rain levels and weather. I know we were talking about droughts, it seems like, when we started the summer. Are we kind of catching up?
You know, actually, that's a great question. I'm going to step off the screen real quick because it is Thursday, which means we got our new drought monitor today. Okay. Let's take a look live. I'll show you what it looks like, because some spots are still playing catch up, absolutely, when it comes to our drought monitor. Actually, look at this. We've made it. We've seen all of those drought conditions for the most part push off towards the south. Kim, I'm so glad you asked this question. I'm not sure on specific numbers, but remember, over the last couple of weeks, we have had numerous batches of severe weather as well as heavy batches of rain push through the area. So we've seen some substantial rain in parts of southeast Wisconsin, especially localized higher numbers. And it was these southern communities that the past couple of weeks were still dealing with drought conditions. So it looks like that's improved, which is some really, really great news there. And going forward with a couple more storm chances, we'll continue to add to that. But we were playing catch up there for a while. So I'll take this as a really good indication that all of the rain that we've seen over the last couple of weeks is doing its job.
That sounds great. I can't believe that we are, you know, ending. I say this all the time. I can't believe, but just the summer is just going by so quickly.
It is going by, I know, but don't forget the entire month of August, and a lot of times September into early October, we still feel some of that heat. Our summer months kind of extend a little bit more these days. So even though we're crossing into August and thinking back to school, I think we still have a lot more summer-like weather ahead of us.
I agree. I think September is one of the best months.
Agreed.
Stephanie Barrichello, thanks for bearing with me again. Like, this time next year, I'll be a pro at this.
You'll be doing the weather forecast.
I'll be finding at least the screen to bring up the weather forecast. Stephanie Barrichello, thanks so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of the Wisconsin Live Desk. You never know what you're going to get. We're going to take a quick break and check in shortly with Tim Van Voren, and then we're also going to get to the other political news of the day. Governor Tony Evers announcing that he is not seeking a third term. And so already you have that scramble of who possibly may be interested in running on the Democratic side. Does this encourage other Republicans to get in the race? But one thing is for sure, this is supremely important, not just to the state of Wisconsin, but also to the country, because Wisconsin is a battleground state. There's more right after.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
And welcome to the Wisconsin Live Desk for the second hour on this steamy Thursday. Hope you're finding some relief someplace. Dip into a mall, a library, a store, a grocery store, just to cool off if you are not someone who has air conditioning, and we know plenty of people don't. And the other concern is the electricity bills. I know a lot of people try to conserve on using their air conditioning units because the staggering costs of electricity. And so if you're trying to find alternative ways to stay cool, those are a few suggestions. As we do here on the Live Desk, if it's happening here or across the country, we dip into it live. So this is right now a court proceeding that is going on in Milwaukee County. I'm going to give you a listen as we get some more information on this.
That other case got adjourned again.
Yeah, I'll let defense know.
Okay. Right, so Madam Clerk, a date in November, please?
How is November 11th at 9 a.m.?
I have a jury trial on the 10th that looks fairly good. I could do the end of that week.
The court is down that the end of the week. We can do the following week, the 21st at 9. That's a Friday.
Sure, 21st at 9 works for defense.
Yep.
Okay. Back on the record, Madam Clerk.
Next court date is November 21st at 9 a.m. for a sentencing hearing in person in room 506 of the safety building.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
And court is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And what you've been listening to, this is actually a case that we have been following. A Milwaukee County bus driver charged in a fatal crash. It happened on Christmas Day. Prosecutors say that Montrell Farm appeared to be falling asleep at the wheel, crashed into parked vehicles and two people. One of the persons died. Farmer, again, a Milwaukee County bus driver, charged after a Christmas Day crash that left one person dead. He's 52 years old, and he's charged with homicide by negligent operation of a vehicle, recklessly driving, causing great bodily harm. It happened just after 11 p.m. on Christmas evening. Police say that they were called to 47th and Villard for a fatal crash that had happened there. When the officer arrived, they say they saw two damaged vehicles. The officer also saw a blood trail that went west on Villard that led to the angle to where the bus had stopped. The bus was observed to have damage to the front end and a broken side windshield. So again, this is just part of the court proceedings. Another date has now been set in that as that case goes forward. But again, if it's happening right now, we're going to take it right now. We are going to check in with Tim Van Voren in just a moment, but before we do that, we're going to give you another live look at Lambeau Field. It's Packers time. I know you say it's always Packers time. A note, Packers Family Nights is happening Saturday, August 2nd. This will be the 24th year of Family Nights, and it will also serve as the introduction of the 2025 Green Bay Packers inside of Lambeau Field. The doors open at 5:30 and the warm-ups begin at 7 p.m. and then you see the practice beginning at 7:30. So that's pretty exciting, a fall rites of passage, you would say. So we're going to check in now with Tim Van Voren, who is up in Green Bay. Hey there, Tim, what's going on?
Kim, it's my second home. You know, the people say, how's your summer going? I say, well, it's great until the Packers training camp starts. And then I kind of relocate, repost, if you will, up here to Green Bay. A lot of time in Green Bay. But this is where the action is for the Packers side of things for sure. And training camp is now well underway. Day 2 of practice today.
So tell me, there were some storylines as who signed a contract, who is possibly holding out. Any updates on that?
We're still monitoring the situations that have been kind of the situation since camp started this year. Elton Jenkins at the offensive line and at the center position was at practice today. He hasn't practiced yet. He has a back injury. He has contract unhappiness. So it's a matter of how they're going to resolve that. He is not a holdout, but he's also not practicing. So no big changes on the business side of things right now. Some of the business situations are going to be in the future, Kim. Some of these offensive linemen have contracts that are coming up after this season. Are the Packers going to commit to keep them? Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker. These are players who have played a lot of football for the Packers and would seem to be in the future plans, except that Green Bay has drafted some offensive linemen very high in the last couple of rounds. So maybe they're getting ready to kind of turn things over there. So some of these guys have a lot on their minds individually as they approach the season from a team standpoint.
Let's talk about, Mark Murphy, such a presence. You know him, you see him, and he kind of, embodies the Packers. And now Ed Policy is stepping in, just a different vibe. I mean, the trench coat, the long coat. Do you feel a different atmosphere? Will that have an effect on the organization?
Remains to be seen. Ed Policy has been around the NFL his entire life, really. His dad, Carmen Policy, a very successful executive, primarily with the San Francisco 49ers. Ed grew up in that world, so he knows the NFL. I spent a long time with Ed on the sideline today, as a matter of fact, Kim. It's a big day tomorrow, the shareholders meeting up here and the official transfer of power from Mark Murphy to Ed Policy. And he views tomorrow as a big day, and then he says, it's going to be a big year. I'm not building in a lot of vacation time. I'm not building in a lot of opportunity to do other things. I'm going to be on the job. This is going to be a big transition, even though he's been the man in waiting for about a year now, with everybody assuming that he was going to take over for Mark Murphy before the team made it official. So I'm not sure how much of a change we will see. Mark Murphy, certainly 70 years old, older, comes from a different generation, played in the game, a college administrator. He brought that to the table as the president of the Packers. Ed Policy has a different resume and maybe a different skill set. So we'll see when the power officially changes tomorrow at that shareholders meeting, if there is a different vibe. Ed Policy was very, very instrumental in the Titletown district, which is up and behind me across the street at Lambeau Field. So the business side of things, Ed Policy has nailed here in Green Bay, even after just getting the job, moving in and being very effective. So now he takes over the entire organization. It's a challenge, but one he's obviously excited about and probably comes at a good time. The team is in good position, seemingly on the field, and definitely in a good position when it's in terms of judging the financials, Kim. They talked about how much of a profit they have made. They had released that information. They made another profit last year. So they're in good shape financially. They're in a pretty good shape football-wise. It's a good time to take over a job. It's not like, oh boy, come on in and change the whole culture.
Right. Let's talk about, there were times last year when it's like, no one is protecting Jordan Love. What changes have been made in the offseason? What's the offense going to look like?
Well, the last game we saw from the Packers, that was definitely part of the story. They couldn't keep the Philadelphia Eagles from rampaging in on Jordan Love or on the Packers running game, and short-circuited everything Green Bay wanted to do. So they signed an offensive lineman in the offseason, Aaron Banks, and Banks is an appropriate name there because he's a big name. Not a big name, I should say, but big money, big guy, big money, not a big name. He's certainly being paid as one of the best guards in the NFL. The Packers are going to slot him in on the line and hope he makes a difference. Rasheed Walker is one of those guys I talked about who's kind of playing for his next contract. He's the left tackle. I talked to him yesterday. What do you feel about your body of work, Rasheed? He said, I've started 35 games. I don't think I need to say anything else. I'm a starter. I'm a starter at the tough position, 35 games in the NFL, plus I'm on field goals. So, obviously he feels pretty good about the work that he's done. The number 1 draft choice last year, number 2 draft choice this year. Packers think they have, young players in reserve who would be able to step in. That's what happened in that Eagles game. They had inexperienced players on the offensive line having to come in due to injury, and they really got manhandled by the Eagles. So Green Bay, there's a little recency bias maybe when you go into a draft or you go into an offseason. What did we see most recently? Well, they saw their offense not being able to go anywhere because, as you said, Kim, the pressure was just too great on Jordan Love and on the running game. They think they've shored things up front. They've added reinforcements. It remains to be seen how it'll all shake out, but that's the intent this season. And then if that's true, the offense could be very effective. They have a lot of pass catchers at tight end and at wide receiver. They have Josh Jacobs at running back. They have a running back who really didn't play last year because of injury, Marshawn Lloyd. They're excited about all these guys. We were talking to Matt LaFleur today about, how do you keep them all healthy and happy? And he said, that stuff sort of takes care of itself. They're largely team-oriented guys, but winning would keep everybody happy. And then no one's really griping about, do they get the ball enough? It's a good problem to have if you're winning. So that's what LaFleur envisions.
Okay, update me, Christian Watson, when you talk about injuries. Where is he?
Boy, I tell you, I was looking at Christian today as he's walking on the sidelines and then kind of jogging across the field. He looks great. Okay. Eye test, he looks great. Now, the Packers will tell you he's not going to practice during training camp. They're not going to rush him out there. This is the second time he's had an ACL injury. He's one of those wide receivers that if he gets back on the field this season could be a big part of this offense. He has a tremendous skill set. He's a tall guy. He's rangy. He looks to be in tremendous shape. Sometimes when you're rehabbing an injury, you can really get everything else in tremendous shape. That seems to be the case for Christian Watson. They vow not to rush him back on the field. So I think maybe you could target mid-season, something like that, Kim, based on how things look. At least with Christian Watson, the medical people will have the final say there.
Okay, yesterday on Fox 6 News at 9, we talked about the new locker rooms that the Packers have. Pretty swanky.
Pretty swanky, yeah, no doubt about it. They've definitely spiffed things up. There are like drying mechanisms in there, one for the helmet and one up in the compartment above that for the shoulder pads, just like at your house, Kim. I understand that this isn't anything new that we're telling you,
right?
But some of us who just rolled out of a cardboard box with a nail to hang our clothes on, we're looking like this is a big deal. The Packers are excited about it. The players are excited about it. There's a picture. It used to be you put the number up of the player. Now there's a visual picture. Digital image of each player over his locker, and then it says the college that he played at and his hometown. So that's kind of cool. These guys, their background is out there for all to see, and you kind of know that stuff. But for it to be right up there, there's some pride in where these guys went to school or the pride of where they grew up, and that's exposed there as well. So yeah, the new locker room has been very well received here in Green Bay by the Packers. Matt LaFleur, though, stressing, we talked about this last night on the news, Kim. It doesn't win you any games. Doesn't win you any games on the field. Might make the guys feel better, sexy facilities, neat things for them to be a part of, but it doesn't win you any football games. You still have to put in the work. I was talking to one player today, Kingsley Enagbari. How would you describe what's going on right now? And he called it dog work. I said, what is dog work? He said, you just got to do it. You just got to grind. I asked him is this a critical aspect of preparing for the season, dog work? He said, it's absolutely critical. So dog work is what some of the guys are doing, even as they're getting ready in that spiffy locker room, Kim.
I love it. The one downside of that electronic ability to put your face up, it comes down just as quickly.
You know what? You're exactly right. There are 90 guys who have lockers in there right now. There'll be 53 for the regular season. So, we all know what the quick delete button is like, and that can happen in the NFL. These guys are playing for their livelihoods. They're playing for their jobs. The coaches, they don't usually get changed in season, but there's pressure on all of them as well, looking for player development at their individual positions. Obviously, Matt LaFleur has had a tremendous amount of regular season success in Green Bay. He wants more playoff success. You're always looking for more. Even the champions celebrate it a little bit, and then they're looking for more the next season as well. So that's just kind of the nature of professional sports. And as you said, in a digital era, you can come and go pretty quickly.
Tim Van Born, thanks for taking time. I know there's so much to chase and follow, so your time is precious, and we appreciate it here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Absolutely no problem at all. And I just wanted to say, driving right by there is live and in person Ed Policy. So there you go, right on top of things, Kim Murphy.
Goodness, it was like I had a sixth sense or something like that.
Right.
All right, take care. We'll see you later tonight.
Have a good afternoon. See ya.
Just like that. I wonder what else I can manifest. The lottery. Okay, not that easy. We're going to dip in again some of the proceedings that are happening in Milwaukee County Court. Again, that's the Live Desk. If it's happening, we check out what's going on and try to give you some context of what exactly is going on. So let's take a listen.
I'm going to call the case, everyone. Madam Clerk.
State of Wisconsin versus Montreal Farm, 25 CF 562 appearances.
Grant Hubner for the state, appearing for ADA Patrick Anderson.
Stephen Sargent for Mr. Farm, who's present in court.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We were set for a plea hearing today. However, I understand the defense is now ready to go forward with what had been a planned agreement. I'll start with Mr. Sargent.
That's correct. At this point, we're not ready for a factual basis. I'd ask for a trial date, but I also ask for a final pretrial. State and defense have been in negotiations in the past, and we're trying to work this out.
Okay. Mr. Hubner?
That's fine.
All right. Well, until the parties reach an agreement, we'll put a trial date on the calendar and see if the parties can reach an agreement. We have some tentative dates. Let's go off the record to talk about dates. Madam Clerk?
All right, for trial, how is January 5th or 12th?
I'm gonna check both calendars.
And we do just want to correct ourselves. That earlier case, we were a little early. This is the case of Mr. Farm, Montreal Farm, the bus driver accused in a deadly crash on Christmas Day.
Okay, let me look. Either works for me. Well, I could do either the 5th or the 12th. Mr. Anderson has 3 cases the 5th and 1 case the 12th. I'd ask for the 12th then. He's got nothing the 19th, and neither do I. Well, the 19th's state holiday. On the 20th. Yeah. Or he's got nothing the 26th. I've got intake the week of the 26th, though. I'd ask for either the 20th or the 12th. I will just say the 12th, he's here with Mr. Earl. So if you're gonna double stack, I think it makes sense to stack him in the same courtroom, which would be with you. And then if necessary, I can keep that week clear for me, so if we need to get another DA, I can travel with the case to the other courtroom.
Okay. We have a very firm, the Turner case on the 5th is pretty firm. So I guess.
We can set it for the 12th.
The 12th, okay.
Yeah, the 5th, the Turner's with Pat, and that's going.
Yeah, yep, I agree, yeah.
I'd say let's set it for the 12th, and if he can't do it, I will.
Okay. Okay, and then, okay, Madam Clerk, for a final pretrial?
How is October 17th at 8:30?
Sure.
Did you say the 7th or the 17th?
17th.
Okay, thanks.
That's bad. I could do the 15th, not the 17th.
The 15th is fine. Does it work for the state at 8:30?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right, back on the record, Madam Clerk, with our next dates.
Next court date is October 15th at 8:30 for a final pretrial. Jury trial is scheduled for January 12th at 8:30, both in person in room 506 of the safety building.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask the parties to keep talking. And Mr. Farm, while you're on pretrial release, just make sure you stay in compliance with all terms of release and stay in touch with Mr. Sargent. Okay?
Sir.
All right.
Thank
all right.
you.
You're welcome. All right, thanks all, and court is adjourned.
Pardon me for that. You have just been listening to some of the court proceedings. The trial date has now been set for that bus driver who has pled not guilty to a Christmas Day crash. That driver, Montreal Farm, charged with homicide by negligent operation of a vehicle and reckless driving. It killed a 79-year-old man. According to the criminal complaint, surveillance shows the moment the bus crashed into 2 parked cars, killing 79-year-old Robert Clemens. In the video, it appears that the bus driver had his eyes closed and was sleeping. Again, this is according to the officer's report that is included in the criminal complaints. So that case is now moving forward. Let's now move on to something that is happening right now in Washington, D.C. This is the Attorney General for D.C., that district, Janine Pirro.
North Korea's munition department has trained and deployed more than 3,000 workers in information technology or IT skills so that they can then commit fraud on companies in the United States to generate revenue for the North Korean regime. The crime? North Korea used stolen or fraudulent identities of 68 U.S. individuals to set up fake online personas. And when the North Koreans obtained those identities, they got employment with 309 companies, some of them Fortune 500 companies in this country. Many listed their home addresses where they would receive checks from these companies at Chapman's house, the defendant who was just sentenced to 102 months in prison. Now, the companies would send Chapman a laptop, or laptops, plural, some of which she then sent to China and elsewhere, some of which she kept in her home. And if you look at that to my left and your right, that's an example of what we call a laptop farm, where she literally had all those laptops in her house, allowing North Koreans to remotely log into those computers inside of her own house. They had access to U.S. company networks, while all of these American companies and corporations actually thought the employee to whom they were sending a paycheck in Arizona was a real American. The financial damage? All told, the North Korean network enabled by Chapman tallied $17 million in revenue that went right back to North Korea. Now, I and my partners here that you'll hear from in a few minutes have a message to corporate America. This is a code red. Your tech sectors are being infiltrated by North Korea. And when big companies are lax and they're not doing their due diligence, they are putting America's security at risk. And it's time for the big corporations to step up for employee verification, which went through a change as a result of COVID, where there is this lax kind of overseeing of who employees are. It's time for businesses to verify their workers, monitor their conduct, create a zero trust structure, and they've got to do this before the security of our country is compromised. That means do a real interview. Get them on camera. Look and see if the person whose picture you have is the person that you're talking to. And it's cost neutral for the company or the corporation, which in the end can have its own data compromised, its own customer list compromised, and ultimately affect all of us. Now, the workers, there's no question, they were all working for the companies. They made upwards of $5,000 a week. And some even got congratulation certificates from the companies as they then sent their money back to North Korea to buy munitions to be used against us. Now, you all know, and you don't need to hear me tell you this, but North Korea has long been developing and testing for a nuclear weapon in violation of U.S. and UN sanctions. And as we've watched, North Korea has developed the ability to launch long-range missiles to strike even the United States. But they are no longer just a threat from afar. They are inside our house. And they are the enemy. And with this perpetrator fraud on American citizens, American companies and banks, unwitting Fortune 500 companies, hiring remote workers, the aim is to cripple our country. Now, I just want to mention one thing before I turn the podium over to some of my friends here.
You're listening to a news conference that is happening right now. The interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia talking about the need for employee verification. And this is stemming from a case. Christina Marie Chapman pled guilty to wire fraud, identity theft, and money laundering for her role in a scheme that netted over $17 million. She conspired with foreign IT workers to steal identities and gain remote employment at over 300 U.S. companies.
Extend to every member of our team. This incident then required us to expend valuable time and resources on internal investigations to confirm that our systems were never breached and to develop and implement additional safeguards and protocols. Now, further, the fact that wages paid to the defendant by Nike, $74,000 over their 5-month scheme, funneled to foreign state actors compounds the violation of trust and raises concerns about the intentions and affiliations of the defendant. And so Nike is asking the court to consider the damage to Nike, which they themselves didn't suffer any damage. They had an IT worker who did the work, got paid for the work, but they understand the subliminal message and the real threat of their money being paid to North Korea and their munitions development system. Now, I'm also going to right now turn the podium over to the Assistant Director of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, Roman Rashevsky, who partnered with us on the case, and then he will turn it over to some of our state and IRS partners. Rose Roman. Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Pirro. Today's announcement lays bare a multi-million-dollar campaign waged by North Korea's authoritarian regime to compromise our economic and national security. Through a series of increasingly brazen criminal schemes, the North Korean government is attempting to fund its nuclear weapons program and evade U.S. sanctions, while victimizing American companies, American financial institutions, and American citizens. The FBI and our partners are doing everything we can to defend the homeland, and that is why I'm very pleased to announce today's sentencing of U.S. citizen Christina Chapman to 8.5 years for her part in these schemes. The FBI's investigation uncovered a years-long plot to install North Korean IT workers as remote employees across the U.S., from Fortune 500 companies to U.S. government agencies. Those victim organizations thought they were employing American IT workers located in the U.S. In reality, the companies had been tricked into hiring North Koreans who were using stolen identities to pose as Americans and working from places like Russia and China. These North Korean IT workers were accessing the company's networks and sensitive data through laptop farms located inside the homes of U.S. persons. The laptop farms allow the IT workers to conceal their true locations and to earn money from for the North Korean government. But they can't do this alone. They need the help of people like Christina Chapman. As she admitted, she ran a laptop farm out of her home in Arizona, enabling the IT workers to victimize over 300 U.S. organizations, to steal the identities of at least 68 Americans, some of whom even ended up with tax bills for wages they'll never see, and funnel over $17 million to North Korea's regime. Chapman not only hosted the laptops, but also helped deceive American financial institutions into sending the IT workers' earnings to the North Korean government. And the money went straight to North Korea's nuclear weapons program, which is a direct threat to the U.S. homeland and our allies all around the world. The FBI and our partners won't stand for North Korea's attacks on our economic and national security, but U.S. companies also have an important role to play.
You're getting an update. Christina Chapman, a 48-year-old woman from Arizona, has been sentenced to 8 years for her part, a scheme defrauding 300 U.S. companies, generating $17 million in revenue for herself and North Korea. The scheme worked where she provided the documents for these people, IT jobs, for people she help them steal identities of U.S. citizens to apply for remote IT jobs. This is according to the Justice Department. She was convicted, and she transmitted false documents to the Department of Homeland Security. And you're hearing the implications of that, just basically funding. The Justice Department accuses her of helping North Korea develop its weapons program by helping them generate revenue. So that's one of the stories that we have been following this afternoon. Here around Wisconsin, the announcements that we have been waiting for either way, whether or not Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers would decide to run for a third term. We got the answer to that. Let's listen.
Hey, Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers here. You know, I was a scrawny kid with glasses who grew up scraping mold off of cheese. I never dreamed I'd end up governor of Wisconsin, but here I am. For the last 6 years, you've welcomed me in through your churches, businesses, classrooms, farms, hospitals, and communities. I cherish every moment, every tour, visit, high five, question, and selfie. It's the honor of my life to be able to give back to the state that raised me. I promised you when I ran for this office, and I'd always work to do the right thing, and I'd always give it to you straight, and that I'd always try to be a governor for all of Wisconsin. And I work every day to keep those promises. That'll never change. I began my run for governor as a proud Plymouth progressive, and that's still who I am today. I'm a science teacher at heart who ended up running for office and winning 5 straight statewide elections. So would I win if I ran the 6th time? Of course. No question about that. But whether I'd win or not has never been part of my calculus about running again. Here's the truth, Wisconsin. The only thing I love more than being your governor is being a husband, a dad, and a grandpa. I spent 50 years in public service. I'm damn proud I devoted my entire career and most of my life to working for you. And from Plymouth to Baraboo, Toma to Oshkosh, Verona to Madison, and everywhere in between, Kathy and my family supported me all the way. Marrying Kathy is the greatest accomplishment of my life because it gave me a lifetime with her, 3 amazing kids, and 9 incredible grandkids. For 5 decades, my family has sacrificed to give me the gift of service. They're my world, and I owe it to them to focus on doing all the things we enjoy and love doing together. It's why, Wisconsin, I'm announcing that I will not be running for a 3rd term. I'm so humbled to be your governor. This is the best job I ever had. And folks, we are not done yet. There is, as always, much work to do. In Wisconsin, I'll be working just as hard as I have for the last 6 years to keep doing the right thing and deliver for you. So let's get to work. Forward for you and for Wisconsin always. Thank you.
And that's our governor. He still has time to serve in his 2nd term, but he got that, folks, that he is so known for, that Wisconsin hometown feel. But he said, you know, loves being Wisconsin's governor, but what he loves more is his family. And after 50 years of public service, he has made that decision. So this is what we know. Governor Evers is not seeking a 3rd term. He is the 46th governor of Wisconsin. He was elected back in 2018. He was re-elected in 2022 and served as the state superintendent of public instruction from 2009, 2013, and 2017. But he is not going for a 3rd term. He joked, had he decided to run for a 3rd term, he has no doubt that he says, would have won, but he's decided that it is his time now to spend time with his family. Some statements are coming in. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley on Evers' decision not to run, saying Governor Evers has served the people of Wisconsin with dignity, integrity, and compassion. During his 50 years as a teacher, superintendent, and public servant, Governor Evers has worked tirelessly to foster brighter futures for our kids, create prosperity for working families, and deliver investments that are moving the community forward. Might he be one of the people who throws his hat in the ring to run for this position? Unknown, but is certainly one that has been thrown around. Secretary Godlewski thanking Governor Evers for his incredible dedication to the state of Wisconsin. She is the Secretary here of Wisconsin, saying Governor Evers has been a steady hand and a true public servant for Wisconsin, whether it was fighting for our kids, protecting our rights, fixing the roads, or making life more affordable. His leadership has been the real difference for Wisconsin residents. We